Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show, folks. Today, we're diving into some exciting updates from around the world. First up, Ukrainian President Zelensky has appointed Yulia Svyrydenko as the new prime minister, aiming to energize his war-weary nation with fresh diplomatic strategies and stronger Western alliances. Zelensky is also focusing on boosting military supplies, with efforts to secure advanced weapons and domestic production, all while strengthening ties with the US and Europe. Next, in the US, President Trump is in the middle of a heated controversy over the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's calling conspiracy theories of hoax and accusing Democrats of trying to tarnish his reputation. This has caused a rift within his support base, with some supporters worried that the scandal could threaten his presidency. Trump's complicated history with Epstein and his recent statements have only added fuel to the fire. Finally, on the economic front, U.S. tariff revenues have soared to a whopping $87 billion in the first half of 2023, the highest since 1910. Meanwhile, American students are increasingly seeking education abroad, with a record number applying to UK universities due to concerns over campus freedoms in the US. These stories highlight the dynamic and sometimes unpredictable nature of global politics and economics. Please continue to watch for more detailed insights. The Toronto Star reports that in Ukraine, President Zelensky has appointed Yulia Svyrydenko as the new prime minister, marking a strategic move amid ongoing war fatigue. Svyrydenko, a seasoned diplomat and former economy minister, has played a crucial role in negotiating Ukraine's mineral development deal with the US, tying American interests to Ukraine's security efforts. Zelensky's cabinet reshuffle aims to invigorate the nation's resilience by emphasizing swift military support, domestic weapons production, and technological enhancement of defense forces, while maintaining continuity with experienced officials like outgoing Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal, who transitions to a defense role. This political shift coincides with increased U.S. military backing, including European allies purchasing U.S. military equipment, as Zelensky underscores the importance of Ukraine's strength amid global crises and Russian aggression. The Independent details President Donald Trump's recent controversial stance on Jeffrey Epstein, revealing a complex web of conspiracy theories and political fallout. Trump, who once publicly described Epstein as a terrific guy, has now dismissed allegations of his involvement in sex trafficking as a hoax, criticizing Democrats and his own supporters who believe in the conspiracy. The article highlights how key figures in Trump's administration, such as FBI officials Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, previously promoted Epstein-related conspiracy theories, which are now contradicted by official investigations suggesting Epstein's death was a suicide. Trump's evolving narrative, including his doubts about Epstein's death and his distancing from Epstein's social circle, reflects the deepening rift within his political base, especially as some far-right figures warned that the Epstein controversy could jeopardize his presidency and support. The Independent also reports on the Justice Department's decision to seek only a one-day sentence for Brett Hankison, a police officer convicted of civil rights violations in the killing of Breonna Taylor. Outrage erupts across social media, with critics condemning the move as racially biased and emblematic of systemic injustice. Taylor, a black woman shot during a police raid in 2020, became a symbol of police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement, sparking nationwide protests. The DOJ's memo, signed by a Trump-appointed attorney, argues that Hankison, who did not directly shoot Taylor, deserves a lenient sentence, sparking accusations of white supremacy and institutional racism. This decision intensifies debates about police accountability and racial injustice in America, highlighting the ongoing struggle for justice in the face of a deeply divided society. The CNN report vividly details the controversy surrounding the U.S. deportation of prisoners to Eswatini, a tiny African nation, highlighting the outrage from local communities and international observers. Eswatini, a landlocked kingdom governed by an absolute monarch, has become a reluctant host for 5 U.S. deportees, convicted of heinous crimes like murder and child rape, after the U.S. deemed their home countries unwilling or unable to take them back. Critics argue that Eswatini is being used as a dumping ground, risking its already fragile social fabric amid poverty, high crime rates, and deteriorating human rights. Civil society groups and opposition parties condemn the move, fearing it compromises the nation's sovereignty and dignity, especially given the opaque nature of the U.S.-Eswatini deal and the economic pressures from U.S. tariffs. The deportation has also strained regional relations, with South Africa suspecting U.S. motives to destabilize neighboring nations and fearing the influx of criminal deportees, further complicating Africa's fragile political landscape. The Independent's coverage of the Epstein conspiracy theories underscores the deepening political and cultural fissures in America, especially within Trump's base. Podcaster Theo Von's interview with Vice President J.D. Vance, where they discuss the need to release the Epstein list, exemplifies the persistent allure of conspiracy theories in Trump's circle. Despite official investigations concluding Epstein's death was a suicide and denying the existence of a client list implicating powerful figures, the MAGA community remains skeptical. Trump's allies, including Attorney General Pam Bondi and supporters on social media, continue to promote claims of cover-ups and secret black books, fueling distrust in federal institutions. This persistent conspiracy narrative threatens to undermine the credibility of the justice system and Trump's own political standing, as the base's suspicion grows and mainstream officials face mounting pressure to release alleged evidence, revealing the fragile grip of misinformation on American politics. In the broader context of American political discourse, The Independent explores how Donald Trump's relationship with conspiracy theories has evolved, especially regarding Jeffrey Epstein. Initially, Trump dismissed theories linking him to Epstein, but as investigations and official reports have cast doubt on the conspiracy narratives, Trump and his allies have doubled down on dismissing the evidence, calling the Epstein files a hoax and accusing opponents of orchestrating a cover-up. This denial has only intensified the divide, with supporters questioning the legitimacy of the official conclusions and demanding transparency. Meanwhile, the conspiracy theories have taken on a life of their own, with some critics suggesting that Trump's own reluctance to release documents and his public dismissals are fueling suspicions that he may have something to hide. This dynamic illustrates how conspiracy theories can become a double-edged sword, threatening to destabilize political trust and turning the narrative into a battleground of truth and misinformation. The New York Times reports a striking surge in U.S. tariff revenues, which have skyrocketed to $87.2 billion in the first half of the year, driven largely by President Trump's reciprocal duties introduced in April. These tariffs, particularly the 10% flat rate and sector-specific automotive tariffs, have generated unprecedented income, reaching levels not seen since 1910. The administration's strategy of negotiating high tariffs with countries like Vietnam and Indonesia, where the U.S. maintains elevated rates while the other side reduces theirs to zero, has been justified as beneficial for American interests, with projections suggesting these tariffs could reduce the federal deficit by trillions over the next decade. However, this reliance on tariffs as a revenue source raises concerns about their permanence, especially considering their significant contribution to tax income, making future reductions politically challenging amid the broader context of global trade and domestic fiscal policies. The Independent highlights a dramatic shift in American higher education amid the Trump administration's aggressive stance on cultural and political issues, which has prompted a record number of U.S. students to seek education abroad, particularly in the UK. Applications to UK universities for the fall of 2025 have increased by nearly 14%, reaching the highest level since 2006, with institutions like St. Andrews University experiencing a 14% rise in American applicants. Many students are motivated by fears over campus freedoms and the increasingly contentious political climate in the U.S., where the administration has targeted universities for alleged liberal bias and anti-Semitism, even freezing funds and threatening tax status. Meanwhile, U.S. interest from international students is waning, with a significant drop in online course views, indicating a decline in U.S. higher education's global appeal despite efforts to encourage foreign students to study domestically. ABC News reports a stark warning from Russia's former president Dmitry Medvedev, who advocates for Russia to be prepared to launch preemptive strikes against the West if escalation continues over Ukraine. Medvedev's provocative comments reflect Moscow's hardened stance amid ongoing conflict, with Russia asserting its right to respond fully to Western threats, dismissing NATO claims of potential attacks as baseless. His remarks, supported by Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, underscore a shift toward more aggressive posturing, with Russia's military advancing in eastern Ukraine and Ukraine itself contemplating a major drone and weapons deal with the U.S. to bolster its defenses. President Zelensky's recent appointments and plans to increase domestic weapons production signal Ukraine's strategic efforts to counter Russian advances, even as diplomatic and military tensions escalate to new heights. The Independent reports that migrants are increasingly turning to platforms like OnlyFans to fund their legal battles against deportation, highlighting a Colombian woman detained in Louisiana who has launched an OnlyFans account managed by her husband to help cover her legal fees, which have already exceeded $15,000. Her account, titled "The Blonde That Shouldn't Get Deported," features bikini photos and personal footage, with each subscription and tip aimed at raising bond money for her release. Despite limited subscriptions, her husband, an Uber driver, emphasizes her resilience and faith amid uncertain legal outcomes. Meanwhile, USA Today notes that ICE-related fundraising on sites like GoFundMe has surged, with campaigns raising over $1.7 million in recent months, reflecting the desperation of many migrants seeking to finance legal costs amid the Trump administration's expanded detention efforts. These stories illustrate how individuals are resorting to unconventional and sometimes controversial means, such as adult content and crowdfunding, to navigate the harsh realities of immigration enforcement. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Got a question in your mind, we'll find the answer, we'll be kind. Encyclopedia on everything, laugh and learn with the zing, zing, zing. From ants to outer space, we've got the facts in one great place. For kids and grown-ups too, we've got the A to Z for you. Got a question in your mind, we'll find the answer, we'll be kind. Encyclopedia on everything, laugh and learn with the zing, zing, zing. From ants to outer space, we've got the facts in one great place. For kids and grown-ups too.